I'm not going to waste your time. This is the complete guide on how to dominate as a central midfielder. I know some of you are saying, I am not a midfielder. Don't worry, this could actually help you even as a defender, winger or striker. Before we understand how to dominate, let's make sure we understand what a central midfielder actually does. Because the position has evolved dramatically over the years and many coaches still teach outdated concepts. The central midfielder is the link between defense and attack, but that's just scratching the surface. You're the player who sees more of the ball than anyone else. You're responsible for progressing possession, protecting your backline, creating space for teammates, and sometimes even finishing attacks yourself. Think about the best midfielders in the world right now. Players like Pedri, Bellingham, and more. They're completely different types of midfielders with different skill sets, but they all share certain fundamental qualities. They have immaculate spatial awareness. They make decisions before receiving the ball. They know how to position their body to play effectively. They control the tempo of the game. They develop these qualities through understanding and training the right way. And that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Let's start with what I call the 3 pillars of midfield mastery: spatial awareness, body orientation, and decision making. Master these 3 elements and you'll instantly elevate your game beyond 90% of other midfielders. First pillar, spatial awareness. Spatial awareness is your ability to understand the pitch, geography at all times. Where are the spaces? Where are the defenders? Where could your teammates move next? Elite midfielders are constantly scanning the field 3 to 4 times before receiving a pass. They are updating their mental map of the pitch every few seconds. This is what separates players like Sergio Busquets from the rest. A study showed he scans his surroundings up to 8 times in the 10 seconds before receiving a ball. Exactly, 8 times before receiving a ball. You probably do it maybe once or twice. The consequences of poor scanning are severe, especially for midfielders that don't have a 360 degrees view like a defender or a winger. If you don't scan enough, you'll almost always take a negative touch or make a backward pass because you simply didn't know what was around you. Here's how to train this. During small-sided games, challenge yourself to scan over your shoulder at least 3 times before each time you receive the ball. Make it a conscious habit until it becomes unconscious. At first it'll feel mechanical, even a bit slow, but stick with it. Another drill I love for this. Play a lot of rondos with your teammates, but add this one thing. 2 players defending in the center and 1 player, in this case you, receiving the ball and passing. For solo training, use the wall and an app called Switchdon. Select the color green and red. Pass against the wall. But before the ball returns, turn your head to look at specific colors you've set up behind you. If it's green, turn. If red, pass to the wall again. The goal of these drills is to create the habit. You can't waste time thinking consciously about scanning. So practice it a lot until it's natural. Second pillar, body orientation. Here you can actually see the difference between amateur midfielders and the pros. When a midfielder receives the ball with their back to goal and close body position, they are immediately under pressure and limited to backwards or sideways passes. Their first touch becomes predictable and they can't progress the play. Instead, learn to open your body before the ball arrives. Position yourself at a 45-degree angle with your hips facing where you want to play. This allows you to see more of the field and gives you options in all directions. Watch Toni Kroos. He rarely receives the ball square on. He's almost always positioned at an angle that allows him to play forward immediately. His body is never closed off. The right body orientation achieves 3 crucial things. It lets you see more of the field. It gives you more passing options. It makes you harder to press because you can move in multiple directions. To train this properly, start with shadow play. Practice receiving imaginary passes in different positions around the pitch without opposition. Focus on opening your body and positioning your feet so you can play in multiple directions with your first touch. Next, do this with a wall. Pass it to the wall and orientate yourself before receiving. Finally, add full pressure in small areas in futsal or pickup games. Focus entirely on your body position before the ball arrives. Remember that body orientation isn't just your upper body, it starts from your feet. The direction your feet are pointing when you receive the ball largely determines what options you have. Practice planting your feet in a way that allows you to pivot in multiple directions. Third pillar, decision making. The third pillar, and perhaps the most important, is decision making. In midfield, you typically have less than a second to decide what to do with the ball. That's not enough time to consciously weigh all your options. The best midfielders don't think, they play through instincts. They've played so many patterns, faced so many situations that their decisions become instinctive. There's a fascinating study on this. Researchers show that elite midfielders process information differently than regular players. How do you develop this instinct? You develop it through raw football, playing for hours in unstructured environments where you're forced to make thousands of decisions under different pressures. This is why so many of the world's best midfielders grew up playing street football or futsal. Those environments naturally develop decision making because you're constantly involved, constantly facing unique situations. Find small-sided games in your area. Play 3v3, 4v4, 5v5. Play futsal. The tighter spaces and constant involvement will rapidly improve your decision making in ways that will help you in 11v11. Do also this. Watch full matches of top midfielders, pause before they make a decision and ask yourself what you would do. Then see what they actually did and understand the reasoning. Create decision trees in your mind. If defender A comes to me, I play option X. If defender B shifts position, I choose option Y. The more scenarios you mentally rehearse, the faster your in-game decisions will become. Now that we've covered the three pillars, let's talk about the technical skills every dominant midfielder needs. First, work on your first touch. Your first touch as a midfielder is everything. The first touch is purposeful, always preparing for the next action. The key principle for first touch as a midfielder: touch away from pressure towards space. This sounds simple, but it requires complete awareness of your surroundings. Remember pillar 1. To train this effectively, 1. Wall drills with directional control. Pass against the wall, but before the ball returns, decide which direction you'll take your first touch. Vary the directions, speeds and heights of return. Practice controlling with different parts of your foot: inside, outside, sole, laces. Each gives you different options for your next move. 2. Partner pressure drill. Have a partner pass to you in a corner and then he snaps against you, and you should get out of pressure with one touch. And of course, the best drill for first touch is juggling and wall juggling. Learn to juggle with every part of the body. The second thing to train as a midfielder is passing. As a midfielder, you need to master different types of passes for different situations. 1. The progressive pass. These break lines of defense and advance your team up the field. Train these by passing between obstacles and targets. Focus on the weight. Too hard and your teammate can't control it. Too soft and it gets intercepted. 2. The one-touch pass. Speed of play is crucial in midfield. Practice with a partner or against the wall, focusing on redirecting the ball without stopping it. The key is to use your body position to guide the ball rather than trying to hit it with force. 3. The switch of play. Changing the angle of attack quickly is a powerful weapon. Practice long diagonal passes, focusing on proper technique. Plant foot pointed toward target. Striking foot contacting the middle bottom of the ball. Proper follow through. Start static, then add movement. 4. The disguise pass. Looking one way and passing another is how elite midfielders break defense. Practice by keeping your hips facing one direction while passing in another. For weight of pass, remember this rule. Pass to the foot if a teammate is under pressure. Pass to space if they have room to run. The weight should match the situation. A crisp, firm pass to feet. A softer pass into space that teammates can run onto. Now, for the dribbling part, we use the minimalist framework. You don't have to follow it, but I think it's a very smart way to become a great dribbler. Let's be real, you don't need 50 different skills to dominate midfield. You need to master a few key techniques that actually matter in real games. First, master body feints. If you actually master this, you have every other skill that exists in your pocket. Because every skill requires a sort of body feint, the subtle drop of a shoulder and the change in direction. Andres Iniesta and Messi rarely performed step overs or complex dribbles. Instead, they used subtle body feints to create just enough space to play his next pass. To develop effective feints, start with static movement. Practice dropping your shoulder one way and moving the other. Add head feints, look one way but move another. This works because defenders sometimes naturally focus on your head position. Progress to hip feints, slightly rotate your hips as if moving in one direction, then quickly change to another. The effectiveness of a feint comes from selling it completely. Commit to the fake motion with your whole body before changing direction. The next step is to practice feints in pickup games. The other skills are roulette and la croqueta. Same strategy, start static, then add movement and then try it in pickup games until it's natural. Of course, you can master other skills depending on your style, but I think these 3 are already enough. Now, let's focus on positioning intelligence. First, you need to understand the concept of triangles. Elite midfielders are always part of at least one passing triangle. This means positioning yourself so that the player with the ball has at least 2 passing options. Train this by consciously forming triangles during possession exercises. Every time you pass the ball, move to create a new triangle. Next, master half space. Those channels between the center of the pitch and the wings. These are the most dangerous areas for a midfielder, because from the half space you can see more of the pitch, access both the center and the wing, find angles for penetrating passes, and arrive late into the box for shooting opportunities. Train yourself to recognize and exploit half spaces with this exercise. In a full-sided game, try receiving the ball in the half spaces so you are more conscious about what you can cause from that position. This forces you to recognize these zones and understand their value. Now, another ability midfielders should have is ghosting, the phase when you are attacking and you disappear from the radar of the opposing team. Train your space recognition with the freeze and find drill. During a training match, try to analyze where other players are focusing their attention. For example, when there is a cross, most of the players would go in the box. What you should do is going into the place where the ball could go in case they stop the ball. Remember, space in midfield is temporary. The best midfielders don't just find space, they time their movement into space perfectly to receive the ball at exactly the right moment. Another midfielder duty is defending. The best midfielders are also masters of defensive positioning. Understand the concept of cover shadow. This means positioning yourself so that you simultaneously press the ball carrier while blocking the passing lane to another opponent. If the player has more passing lanes, you should block the most dangerous. To train cover shadows, play a small-sided game where the passing lanes are less so you can learn first. N'Golo Kante is the master of this. Watch how he positions himself to both apply pressure and intercept passing lanes. Well, if you're still here, congratulations. You're already ahead of 99% of other players who clicked away after the first minute. You're serious about improvement, and that already gives you an edge. download the free ebooks if you haven't already, and join our community of serious players who are improving daily. Remember, hit the protocol and take action.